Good evening, all. Let us start with the lesson. Today's lesson. Today we are going to take up the lesson called the socialization process. This is the third lesson we have in the syllabus content of the contemporary women in Indian society. This socialization process is very, very important, as we have discussed in the introduction part of the lesson, which is actually to discuss about like when we take up the definition of socialization process. It is something where a child develops. It is something where a child develops from the infancy, the childhood, from the infancy, the childhood, adolescent, and also adolescent and uh, being an adulthood person here. Uh, a person emerges from a being a human being with specific taste, the likes, dislikes, and also certain set of attitudes and values. So this is nothing but that it is we usually term it as, or we usually relate this particular development of all these set of ideas, set of attitudes and the values, the likes, dislikes among with the person. We usually can take it as a personality development. So here, when we talk about the personality development, how do a person get the personality development like? Okay. Like, what do we understand by the personality development? This is a process where we usually consider to be trained for the, it is a training period or the learning period for an individual since the time of the birth, since the time of the birth. So here we say that it is nothing but this training period or the learning period, we call this as technically or sociologically, we call this as socialization process. So here it is something where we are confining the socialization process to the girl or to the women or the feminine person, the female categories. Here we say that the sex, which is very important, it is an important factor in allocation. So when we are allocating certain roles, certain status to a person and to the and a power to the person, we try to determine the sex of a person. So we try to identify with the person by sex and allot the person the status, the role, and also the power. So this is how we go with the differentiation between the sex here. The female persons holding certain status and performing certain roles and having control over certain things here. But otherwise, when we talk about the male person, and they are given certain other status and the role performances and also the power. So this is how we are differentiating between the two different sexes here. And then again, we try to take up, because we are in the Indian society, when we take up the socialization process, our socialization process have a great impact taking the patriarchal society, the patriarchy. So when we take up the Indian society, as I said, in the traditional societies, when we were in the joint family system, the socialization process usually had in by giving rearing up of boys and rearing up of the girls here. So while rearing and while growing of bringing taking care of the child itself, we are giving them, allocating them, or we are making them train according to a boy and according to a girl. So what the girl should learn and what the boy should learn here. So this is how basically from the foundation itself we are making a difference between these two sexes here, the boy and the girl. So here we try to take up here, when we are rearing a child here, certain beliefs and the practices were organized, certain beliefs and the practices were organized on the basis of the place, the status and roles expected of men and women in a family and a society. I repeat once again here. I said this is a socialization process. When we try to take up the patriarchal society of the Indian society, when we relate this to the traditional Indian society and the traditional joint family structure of the Indian society, the rearing up of boy and the rearing up of a girl used to be in such a manner that we try to differentiate with regard to the belief systems, the practices which were organized on certain based on the status, the role performances, and the power here. And here there are certain expected conditions, expected norms which are given to the girl, the rearing up of the girl, or which we expect out of the women. So women are expected with certain role performances, women are expected with certain status occupation, and women are expected with certain power itself. And on the other side, we have the men who are expected certain other role performances, who are expected certain other status occupation, and also the controlling of certain power in his hands. So this is how from the traditional period itself, from the foundation onwards, we are making a what is called we are making a difference between the man and a woman here. And at the same time, the status performances, role performances, status occupation, role performances, as well as the power occupation here. Fine. Then here, in a patriarchal joint family structure, it is confined that when we were in the joint family structure in Indian society, even today we have certain identifications of the joint family structure where we go with or we try to confine women the role of domestic spheres. So women have to only occupy and she has to confine herself to the domestic sphere, allocated to the subordinate status, authority and power to women, subordination, authority, subordination, power, subordination status, power, as well as the authority compared to men. And these were practiced when sex segregation in day-to-day life. So I repeat once again here, when we try to take up this comparison, or when we relate all these things to the traditional Indian patriarchal society, the traditional Indian joint family patriarchal system here, we try to expect the roles of women being confined to the family, the domestic sphere, and a subordinative status, subordinative power, subordination authority here when compared to man in the family. So a woman is always used to be in a subordinative position compared to men in the family itself. Then again, when we talk about how do we identify a man? How do we identify a woman here? How do we identify a man? A man is identified with as, he's been categorized as, a man is categorized as the provider and the protector. I repeat once again, the man is categorized as, or we identify a man as, traditionally in a patriarchal system, we identify a man as the provider and the protector of the family, provider and protector in the for the family and of the family. Hence, boys and girls were trained for different adult roles. So, since the childhood itself, these are the basic ideas we try to give and expect from the boy and the girl here. So, this is the process where we are making these identification and separating this identification, and accordingly, the brought up of the child is going to be taken place. And in the same process, socialization process also takes up identifying these particular role performances and the status of the women as well as the man. So we identify a man as a provider and the protector of the family. Then, what is the concept of socialization and the significance of social? Why? What do we mean, or how do we understand the concept called socialization? So the meaning or understanding the term called socialization, the concept called socialization, and what is the significance of socialization process in the family? So can't we run the family without socialization process, or what is that significance we usually carry in the family or for the society with the concept called socialization? For this particular concept here, we try to understand the socialization process as it is the entire process of socialization. It is the entire process of socialization of female to internalize. So we are talking confining our socialization to the female category here. The female has to internalize the concept of dependency in the process of socialization. It is the concept of dependency, which is usually the development, crippling in the development of personality. And in fact, they have only roles but not personality. I repeat once again this point here. As I said, when we talk about the concept of socialization and the significance of the socialization, now let us take up the concept understanding the socialization process. When we try to take up the socialization process, we are confining this relating the socialization process to female category. The female category's entire throughout her life, entire socialization process is to internalize the concept of dependency, the concept of dependency. So whatever she performs, whatever she occupy, whatever she does, whatever she think, whatever she develop the ideas, this should be taking into consideration the dependency ideology. So the entire process of socialization is done based on the dependency ideology here. So she is going to internalize the concept of the dependency, and this is which is crippling in the development of the personality. So and at the end it means that at the end it means that they they are going to perform the roles which they are only meant to perform the roles, but not the personality. They're not going to develop any personality, but it is only development or the performance of the roles itself. So they are born to perform certain roles. They are living or surviving only to perform the roles, but they have no personality. So this is what is the difference we are going to identify for a female category in the process of the socialization and in her life. So here, the internalization of the concept of dependency takes place through the socialization process. And in the process of this socialization, she tries to identify that the life of her and a survival is only to perform the roles, but not to develop the personality. These two we have to identify. Then, the socialization for the gender differentiation. Socialization for the gender differentiation and sex inequality starts as early as girls, very early in the stage of the girl's life. Okay, so the socialization process and the sex difference starts in the early stage of the girl's life here. She has to leave her father's house. So when she gets married, she is going to leave her father's house. This is one process of identifying the sex difference in a family. So she is after getting married, she is going to leave the father's house. And when she spends a very brief spell, very short period in the family of orientation or in the father's family, and she is going to join the in-laws family after her marriage, and she is going to lead a very long life in the in-laws family. That is her husband's family here. What is called in the in-laws families here, she is going to lead a very long life. So that means she cannot experience, neither she can reveal what life she has led with the family of her family father, but rather she has all the involvement, and she just remembers what life she has led and what the members in the family of her in-laws only. So that means very long life, and the very long she is going to lead a very long life in the in-laws family. This is what we are going to identify in the process of socialization. First, primary, it is that it has been said and it has been understood that she is going to leave the father's house after getting married. This first step. The second step is that she's going to spend only a very short period in the father's family, and then she, after leaving the father's family, a very long life is going to be spent in the in-laws family. That means her proper socialization, her what is called the childhood as well as the adolescent socialization, and also after as an adult person also, she is going to train up and she is going to learn in the process of the socialization and all the values, the ideals, the expectations, the norm conditions of the in-laws family. More of the dominatingly, it is only the in-laws family. So her throughout life socialization process will be done in the from the basic till the end of that life. Her throughout socialization will be done in the in-laws families expectations and the norm conditions. Then when we talk about the child custom of early marriage here, the early marriage custom was prevailed in the traditional period. Why? Because girls learned the traditions of the new family and transferred the loyalties to the new home. So in order to show the loyalty for the new family, they are being done with the child marriages and going to be sent very early to the in-laws family, so that means the socialization will be done in the in-laws family and the loyalty of the members will be taken care of, will be done by the girl in because of this early child marriages and the early socialization process, the basic socialization process from the in-laws family itself. And after marriage, minimum contact with the natal family is ensured. So that means she cannot very frequently visit the father's family or the natal family, and she cannot maintain that kind of very cordial relationship, but rather very like Very rarely she used to visit the natal family members. That means she used to lead and she used to live very happily with in-laws family itself. The custom of Kanyadan forbids the parents and the brothers to accept anything from the daughter's house. So we had in the traditional Hindu family system, the Hindu marriage system, we come across the Kanyadan. So when this process of Kanyadan is that it is accepted that we are not going to take anything from the girls' maternal girls' in-laws family here. So whenever the father and the brother or any other family member, the natal family members visit the girl's family, they never used to touch anything but in the girl's family. So this has actually been identified with the sex segregation, the sex differentiation since the childhood of the girls brought up. Then, as she's going to be uh, brought up and she's going to be identified as a pet daughter and a beloved wife and also the honored mother, a woman experiences all the happiness and what only all the happiness through performance of all these kind of multiple roles of a woman. Then she was owned by someone and her master made her life. This is according to Iravati Karve, a famous sociologist. She connotes that she is being owned by somebody and she will be made, she's life is made, her life is made up by her master. So that means she has nothing to do with her own life, her conscious and also her personality. So she's been owned by some person and her life is made by some master. So the master may be in the form of the husband, the master may be in the form of the in-laws family members. So this has been connoted by Iravate Karve, a famous sociologist and famous social anthropologist also. Then later, when we talk about discrimination in the allocation of the resources between the sexes. So when the first para talks about the role performances, identifying the sex segregation here, what a male person should do and what a female person should do. So we have identified with the socialization process of internalizing the subordination aspect, and at the same time, basically there will be a socialization process which is done. The basic socialization, the primary socialization will be done in the in-laws family because of this early child marriages, and also with the concept of Kanyadan, it is deemed that the father's family, the natal family members of the girl is not going to take up anything, accept anything from the girl. So this is what has been identified with a women or a female category. Then in the second para, it is given that what is the discrimination we find with regard to the resource allocation. So what is exactly the resource allocation here? How there is a discrimination with regard to the resource allocation. It says that the resource allocation between the sexes, man and a female, man and a woman. Here we come across the nutrition for the girl, the nutrition for the women or the girl, the Medicare for the women, and also the education and practically everything, whether it is the food intake for a girl, the clothing for the girl maybe, or education for the girl maybe, the very basic needs for the girl maybe, or nutrition for the girl maybe, or medication, Medicare for the girl maybe. So all these are the resources we are identifying, where we also get to know that we are going to see or observe the discrimination taking place with regard to the sex discrimination. This discrimination shows that the basic level of the nutritional intake is being ignored for a girl person in a family, for a girl. And at the same time, even education is not given to the girl. So the priority goes to the boy rather than to the girl. So if the family members feels that it is better to give education to the boy than to the girl, because they are going to get her married and send it to the other family, so let them take care of the girl's education and all. And usually they are not, they won't feel that it is very important or this education is important for girl also. This was traditionally we tried to talk about. Okay, then at the same time the Medicare, even for the Medicare facilities also, we try to prioritize between a girl and a boy. So we try to give vaccination or any other aspect to the boy but not to the girl here. And at the same time, practically everything, whether it is the toys maybe, or whether it is the priority given to the clothing maybe, or whether it is taking care or giving importance to her thinking, or importance giving to the thinking of a boy maybe. So this is where we are discriminating with regard to the priorities given to or the resources allocation in the family also. So we are identifying the resources with the Medicare, the education, also the nutritional intake by the girl, the clothing of the girl, or some other basic requirement which we usually give it in the family among the members. And through this discrimination, we are giving priority to the male person but not to the girl. So nowadays, because of the modernity and we are adopting the modernization values and all, in the urban educated families, the attitudes are changing now. Most of the attitudes, we feel that there is a lot of changes taking place because of the social changes we accepted. We drastically, there is a change taking place in the families and also in the societal level, where we usually go for giving priority to girls' education also nowadays in the modern uh, or the global period of the Indian society here. Then we come across the opportunities given to the girls and the boys in a family here, the daughters and the sons in a family. What are the opportunities here? This is done in a the bloodless way to the daughters. We call socialized. They internalize the norms of subordination, and at the same time they are taught to the girls in the process of socialization are taught to serve best foods to the males in the family. I repeat once again, through this process of socialization, because they are internalizing the subordination aspect here, they are also taught to give or to serve the best food to the male persons in the family, the fathers, the brothers, and then the sons, husbands, father-in-law, and the brother-in-laws. All the male members are given or served with the best foods in the family. Then later on, they also write off their share of the paternal, the father's property share on behalf of the brother. I repeat once again here, with regard to what kind of opportunities they usually get, what kind of opportunities they're given in the families, what is the discrimination we find, or what kind of internalization or socialization is taking place with regard to the opportunities also. With regard to the opportunities, when come to the point of the opportunities here, we try to observe that the girls are internalizing the concept of subordination. Because of this internalization of subordination, they feel that they're taught, this process of socialization also makes them teach that they are taught that they are to give or serve the best food for all the male members in the family, whether it is father, whether it is brother-in-law, whether it is husband, brother, or what, whoever the person may be, but all the male members are going to be served with the best food. This is one priority we are talking about, or what is called the opportunities we are separating for a girl, identifying girl subordination here. Then again, at the same time, they are also meant to write off. They have to feel that they think in such a way, because of the subordination internalization process here, they feel that they are going to write off their share in the parental property in their brother's favor. So that means they never accept whatever the property share they get from the family of the parents here, and but instead of claiming or instead of feeling that there is the access of the property and all, or they have the right towards the parents property and all, but instead they develop the kind of feeling that they are going to write off, but we are not going to accept the property share from the parents here, and this property share of ours will be going to be taken care or be going to be holded by in favor of the brothers in the family. This is the notion they are going to develop in the process of opportunities also, because of socialization process which we are internalizing through the subordination. Then at the same time, a woman is never a permanent member of the husband's family also. Whether she is going to say, just now we said that because of the child marriage, she enters the family's in-laws family very early stage, and her primary socialization also continues in the internal family, the in-laws family. But whether she is going to be a permanent member, this is a question mark. And this, it says that certain research work says that she is not never a permanent person in the husband's family. If she may have to leave if she does not satisfy the family members, she may have to leave if she is not satisfying the family members, or at the same time simultaneously she may leave if she is not satisfied. So vice versa, both are there. If she has to leave the family, if she is not satisfying the family members, she can also leave if she is not satisfied with the family. So both can happen, but she is not a permanent member even in the in-laws family. That is the with the husband's family. Then Patrilineal in association with the joint family, we come across that joint family household, there are certain rules governing the marriage prescriptions in a life where certain constraints of women and is responsible for devaluation of her position. So because of the patrilineal and the marital rules, whatever we have, there are certain constraints on the women's marriage and all, and which is devaluing her position. So because of all the laws which has been prescribed in the marital system and all these prescriptions are devaluing the women's position in the system or in the society. Then what are the agencies of the socialization? How do a person, how do a girl child is being socialized? How a girl is internalizing and what type of internalization is taking place through the socialization? What are the agencies? The agencies are that the agencies are first it is the family. So the primary socialization, the primary internalization takes place only in the family among the family members where in which she is born. So here family, which is called as the cradle of all the social values, because she is born taking birth, she has taken birth in this family of orientation, we call it as orientation in kinship terminologies. So this family of cradle have all the value systems here, and where a child gets first lessons, that is the primary socialization, the basic level of socialization takes place in the family among the family members. The first lessons of cooperation, what is that she is internalizing here? As a girl, she is going to internalize cooperation, tolerance, self-sacrifice, love and affection in the family. I repeat once again, the basic process of socialization, the primary socialization for a girl takes place in the family among the family members, because family is being considered as a cradle of all the values here. So this internalization starts from this particular stage here. The family is the first agent and mother is the first agent and family is the other second agent, we call the basic agent here, where they are giving all the internalization for a girl also. What is this internalization? What is the socialization actually starts from, and what is she is going to internalize in the basic values here? What basic values here? The cooperation, tolerance, self-sacrifice, and at the same time, love and affection. All these values are internalized by a girl through the socialization process. Then here it says that the girls there is a lot of discrimination taking place between a boy and a girl, where even in the within the family members, among the family members, there will be lot of discrimination we observe very regularly. We can observe this particular aspect here. There will be a lot of discrimination among a girl and a boy. So the girl, as I said, she has to subordinate for any kind of a choice here. And the choice of a boy will be given priority, and they are considered as very deemed as important of a choice for the boy here, or the boy will be pampered very much in the family. This is how we try to differentiate between a girl and a family, even at the basic level. In the very small age, from a childhood also, we try to identify this kind of differentiation between a girl and a boy in a family. Then we talk about the restrictions in the family. The restrictions, when what are the restrictions she is acquiring? She is acquiring certain restrictions of aspects of role play, considering that they are for the boys only. Certain roles are meant only for the boys. Certain roles are meant very specifically for the girls only. So even in the process of this role performance also, they are restricted, whereby this they caution that the elderly persons in the family caution that this is not meant for the girl. As a girl you cannot do this, and as a girl you cannot laugh like this, as a girl you cannot sit like this. So this kind of basic level of socialization will be taking place. So she also internalizes this in restrictions of role performance also. Then the second agent of the socialization process is where we come across the school. After the family, the girl or the children enters the school, and in the school it is the teacher and the other members in the school, where the child, after leaving the household, most of the time will be spent in the school here through the peer group and also among the peer group and also the teachers. While where a child gets education and comes to know what she would be as an adult, what she would be as an adult. Even in the school, the child will be learning what she would be and how she would be as an adult here. So this is how The sex segregation, the sex differentiation, the discrimination starts from the basic level of the family, and it enters also the school, and then after the bigger society here. Then here, in terms of imparting education, there is a discrimination for the boys and the girls here, where the segregation starts from seating pattern in the classroom. The seating pattern in the classroom, the girls will be sitting on one side and the boys on the other side. So this seating pattern itself shows there is a discrimination in the school also. Then at the same time, the courses a girl should be offered when we enter into the school or the college also, we find that these courses are meant for the girl and some courses are meant for the boys. So this discrimination also we find even in the course acceptance by a girl and a acceptance by a boy, or offering for a girl and a offering to a boy here. Or at the same time, in the playground, we find that exclusive games are meant for the boys and exclusive games are meant for the girls here. So few games are very specifically meant for girls only. So this is to be played by girls only. The other games are meant only for the boys. So this discrimination we also observe even in the school, in the playground, even in the school, in the classroom, also in the courses offering also. Then at the same time, we come across the next agent as religion. What does the religion teach us through the socialization process? So as we know that religion plays a very important role in the process of socialization, the beliefs and the ritual practices. We usually in general also everyone learns about the beliefs and the ritual practices through the religion here. And the parents have a bearing on the personality development of the child. So when they are giving all this internalization of the values, the religious practices, the belief systems to the girls and the boys also, it is the parents' responsibility where they have to teach all these belief systems, and at the same time the practices of the religion of their own to the children here, which usually goes with the personality development of the child. Then again, we come across the other very, very important agent is the peer group. Peer group actually occupies a very special importance for any socialization performances, socialization process here. In the peer group, we come across the school playmate or any peer, any stage peer group here. The playmate of the girl, where the friends occupy very important person and also a very important agency of socialization. Here we come across the child acquiring a certain aspects from the peer group which she may not acquire in the family. I repeat once again, a child will be learning certain traits of culture, certain traits of certain things from the peer group which she could not get it from the family. So the family members could not be able to give these kind of traits for the child or for the child here, which she is going to learn it or internalize in the peer group. What are they actually? They are like, for example, we have acquiring from the peer group like the fashions, the modes of gratification, and the knowledge. So the fashion is identified, which is acquired in the peer group, and the knowledge which is acquired in the peer group, also the mode of gratification. So the person, the child is going to internalize all these kind of new value systems only, these kind of traits only in the peer group rather than the family. So sometimes family may miss with all these things, and sometimes they cannot take up all these kind of value systems internalization to the child, which she is going to acquire it in the peer group. Then at the same time, in the peer group also, the interaction between the girls and the boys are not allowed freely to interact. So here also interaction or moving together very what is called very close contact, maybe the personal contact maybe, or very close interaction is restricted, or it cannot take place. So even in the peer group, we are observing the discrimination of the interaction between the girl and the boy here. Then socialization from the birth to adulthood. How the socialization process takes place from the birth to the adulthood. So as we know that this is a process which has no end. It is never ending process. So that's the reason why we call it as a process here. From the premarital status and role of the women have been defined in a patterned, very uh, uh, what is called the patterned way, in a very sequential order, very ordered manner here, differently in different types of societies in different times here. The birth of a female offspring Usually, how do the societies, how do a family consider the birth of a girl baby in the family? So usually differs according to their cultures, differs according to the societies here. So as we say that a birth of a female offspring in every society has not been accepted equally. So some societies may accept it, some societies may not accept the birth of a offspring. For example, if it is an Indian society, there are societies in which the birth of a female child has been looked with great disfavor. So they're not accepting the girl's birth in a family, which is looked upon as a disfavor. Great with the, they looked a girl's birth in a family as a great disfavor. Then at the same time, it has been considered as a bad omen in the family and to the group. And sometimes societies have considered the birth of a female child as an unaccepted, personal, and social event that these societies have permitted. So because they consider it as bad omen, and also they never accept the girl's family's girl birth in a family, so which has been unaccepted by the societies. So these kind of societies, they are not considering, they are not accepting, they are not welcoming the girl's birth in a family. These societies permit for the female infanticides. So the families can go for female infanticide. They can kill the girl baby. So this has been acceptable in some societies, which the societies which not accepting the girl's birth in the family. Despite the high status of women, because during the Vedic period, we have discussed in yesterday's class, like the Vedic period has a great a favor for women, and women enjoyed all the liberty in the Vedic period. So she used to play multiple roles, decision making, all the power handed over by the women. She controlled everything in the family, and also her ideas she involved in the political arena. She had a great involvement in the literature. So in all fields, women enjoyed the liberty, and also she reigned in some status in the Vedic period. But later on, what happened was like, even in the Manusmritis, we come across a connotation given by Manu by saying that the Hindu lawgiver, he stated that wherever women was worshipped, God chooses his abode. So this is a statement giving in favor of women, but at the same time, later he also says that because of this, the birth of a girl, this is again according to Manu, the birth of a girl grant elsewhere, here grant a boy. So that means instead of a girl, grant a boy is granted, boy's birth is granted. So here gender discrimination is very clearly understood, where we come across according to Manu philosophy, according to which a female is under the guardianship of her father till she gets married, and later under her husband after her marriage, and under her sons after she is divorced or widowed. So that means every time, yesterday we have discussed that since the birth until the death of a girl, she is always, till the death of the woman, she is always under some or the other male person here. So the guidance of some or the other male persons. So maybe because of all these reasons, most of the societies never accept the girl's birth in a family. So which uh, which they feel that it is a bad omen on the family, a bad omen, or which is not being accepted in the societies. Then at the same time, uh, now, presently, what is the modern systems arena with regard to the women's status and all? So, what kind of status we are into for the women presently here? What is the condition? How do we feel for the women's, a girl's birth in a family here? In the Western societies also, where there is democratic principles, a progressive thought process here. At the same time, there are a great chances of divorce, and where there are female children also in the divorce process. Then the gender discrimination, age-old system of inequality, stereotyping of the role of women, and have a resulted in the low valuation of the girl because of all these reasons, the stereotyping, gender discrimination. So it is gradually, it is nothing but it is understood as a devaluation of the status of the women here. Then at the same time, the girls always pray for a son. So usually when they try to bless even a newly married couple for to be blessed for a birth of a boy but not of a girl. So this is even the presently continued process of the ideology we have even in the Indian society. Then at the same time, how do we identify in the process of the adolescent and the growth of the adolescence here? we try to take that both the adults of both male and female handle infants differently. Systematic differences in dress, hairstyle provide clues for the infant in the learning process. So, how do a boy should go for a haircut and how do a girl should go for a haircut? So, this haircut process also gives a clues for how a boy should grow and how a girl should grow. So this is the process where we try to identify since the birth of a girl and also in the process of the growth as a womanhood also. So how the cultured bearing on the growth process, the culture traits bearing on the growth of or the ideologically when we mean that is how a woman should be, how the role of a performances of the women should be, how the subordination should be, the subjugation should be. All this we have an understanding and we usually the societies are going with this kind of process here. Then we come across the toys with the which the children come in contact during childhood emphasize difference between male and female. What are the toys, the choice of the toys? How do we identify with the toys here? Is there any choice? Yes, of course the choice is there. What kind of choice we have here for a girl and a boy here? It sees that we usually observe that for boys as an active, independent, and taking up advantageous uh, pursuits and outdoor activities. See, a boy is meant to go out for plays, outdoor activities, whereas a girl is passive, shown as a passive, and mostly confined to the indoor games, indoor activities like cooking, cleaning, and the roles of women and men play are depicted differently. Men are depicted as the role of king, fighters, and policemen. So this is the depiction given for a man or for a man person. And then the childhood girls are encouraged to traditional female roles. They play the materials like the dolls, the kitchen utensils, and the gadgets, wherein a boy plays with aeroplanes and the guns. So this is how we are also experiencing the difference in the toy performances, so the toy acceptance also, the play toys actually. Then again, when we talk about what should a girl learn, the girls usually encouraged to take up the needlework and the cookery. So the girl is meant to train up herself in the needlework and the cookery itself, wherein the boys takes the hobbies like the woodwork, the metalwork, and other extra works. So, thus, even in the socialization process, we come across the family and the sex stereotypes play their part. So, girls are expected to be docile, modest, less talkative, and submissive, and thus closing the door of creativity and innovation for the girls. So, she should be submissive, she should be less docile, and she should be always modest, less talkative. All this nature is identified with a girl. So this is how, keeping in view, internalizing all these nature, a girl is being socialized, and accordingly her process of growth takes place. Then, the gender bias does not stop at the childhood but continues even during the adolescent too. So, traditionally, most parents and teachers inadvertently instill orthodox and traditional patriarchal ideas in the minds of the children, and gender bias also results in poorer benefits, poorer health standards among the girls. So, because of all these stereotypes and the sex differences here, we find that, as I said in the first topic, the first starting of the lesson, the resource allocation makes the girl inferior in complexion. The resource allocation makes the girl second category under the prioritization. So girls' choice, the girls' nutritional intake, the girls' Medicare is given second priority compared to a boy in the family. So this is how in the longer run, it seems that in the process of the adolescent growth also, in the longer run, our health gets much affected because of all this stereotype in the family system and the society system. So, what is the experience we gain out of this socialization process? Girls get secondary position next to all male members in the distribution of the family food. So the girl is given second priority and she has to serve the food only after serving the food to all the male members in the family. So she has to take her meal only after the male members consider takes the food. Then later, neglect of immunization for the girl child. As I said, the vaccination or the immunization is given priority to the boy rather than to the girl. So she has been neglected for the immunization also. The nutritional deficiencies among the mothers and infants and the girls. Because since the childhood, we are taking the stereotypes in the family system. So she's ignored out of all this nutritional intake, and which is grows after even the adolescent and the as a adult women also. She's been neglected with the nutritional intake also. Then absence of growth monitoring. So negligence of the growth process, negligence of giving the monitoring or the growth process for girl. Usually they neglect the growth process of the girl babies in the family, rather they give priority to a boy's growth process here. Then poor primary health care. So as I said, there is negligence of the primary health care even for the girl in the family system from the childhood itself. Lack of safe drinking water for the girl and the lack of proper health and nutritional education. So even at least the minimum educational or the minimum basic knowledge is lacking with the girl babies or the for regard to the health or nutritional intake among the girl and the women categories. Then we come across what is called the influence of the socialization process here: imitation, suggestion, and identification. So this we are going to continue in the next topic, that is the factors influencing the process of socialization process in the adolescent stage. So this we are going to continue tomorrow in the class. So for today I'll leave. Thank you all.